The second of 3 one-day internationals being played in England after the T20I series. England comprehensively going down in game number 1 at the Oval. We're still very much in London, just up the road, up north. This is Lord's for the second ODI. Very often we see fixtures here on a weekend, but this time it's a weekday fixture at the home of cricket. And Lord's awaits India and England. So much history between these two sides. But right here on Cricbuzz Live, I'm joined by Zaheer Khan. First of all, Michael Vaughan. Yes, both of us there. Michael, time for England to quickly turn things around just north of the river.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they probably got the wrong end of the toss just a couple of days ago at the Oval, but I think they've got to be honest with themselves as well. They didn't play anywhere near the standard that we've been accustomed to with this white ball team. It's a new era, obviously, with Josh Buttler as captain, a new coach in Matthew Mott, and they haven't made the perfect start. They've got the series win in the Netherlands, that's expected, but to lose the T20 series and now 1-0 down in a home series, India win today, it'll be the first series that England have lost at home in 8 years. So that's how good and strong England have been in white ball cricket. So when they start losing games and losing so heavily, and to lose in 50 over cricket by 10 wickets in the space of just a few hours, you start to look and go, yeah, that's a one-off, but you certainly wouldn't want to see another performance like that today.
Yeah, Zaheer, just confirmation of the toss. Yes, Michael mentioned that England were maybe at the wrong end of the toss. Well, they'll have to turn things around yet again because Rohit Sharma has won the toss and India have once again asked England to bat first. But yes, good news for India, but I think England will want to try and assert that the toss shouldn't really be as important as we've said so often.
Well, both the captains pretty much wanted to bowl first, so that shows that there is going to be a little bit of moisture, maybe for the first 1 hour or so. And I have a feeling that this time you'll see a cautious approach by the openers. They will not be batting in that similar fashion, the aggressive nature which they've been showing over the last few years. I think today it is going to be more around the conditions and more so because they are behind in the series. When you're ahead in the series, then you look to just steamroll the team. You can take those chances and stick to the similar kind of approach. But because you're behind, what this Indian bowling attack can do. Bumrah Shami is not going to be easy. They will get in the right areas. They will swing the ball if there is help. And if there is moisture in the pitch, you might see some seam movement of the pitch as well. So they will take a good gauge of that before take the charge on.
I mean, 110 all out is really a blip. It's an anomaly, Michael. But how easy is it 48 hours time to just put that behind you?
Oh, their experience. I mean, the white ball side has a bit of inexperience in the bowling attack, but the batting lineup has got so much experience. You look at someone like Jason Roy, he's under a bit of pressure. The papers are starting to just mention his position in the side. So, he'll need a good start today. I think England will be silly just to come out in the first few overs and go, oh, it's the way we play and we'll be ultra aggressive. You look at the T20 games, India swung the ball for 4 to 5 overs. In the first one-day game, they swung the ball for about, again, 4 to 5 overs, 6 overs. So I think England aren't playing smart if they come out and try and crash the first few overs. I think they've got to be realistic to say that the ball may swing, but it will only swing for probably 3 overs each end. So don't play too many risky shots too early. The ball badly, you crash it to the boundary. But I think England should play this smart. I don't know whether they will. I honestly don't know whether they'll do that. But I don't think they're playing smart if they don't realise that it might swing for a few overs today.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Certainly does. We'll wait and see England's actual approach, but a lot of focus on the Indian 11. And even when it comes to one person, it tends to be a lot of focus on that gentleman. Out with a groin strain in game number 1. Will he? Won't he? The answer is he will. There you see, at number 3, no Shreyas Iyer in the Indian 11. And as we speculated, Virat Kohli, as per protocol, call it what you like, walks straight back into the side. Not that Zaheer, India needed any more strengthening. They already looked so good. In fact, number 3 didn't even bat in the last game. So it'll be good to have Virat back from India's point of view.
Absolutely. And I think Rohit Sharma in his press conference also made that very clear. there is no question about how they're looking at Virat. He's been a great servant of the game. His contribution has been phenomenal. Yes, T20 format. It was the debate is on. I don't think in 50 overs there's even a debate around that. So if he's fit and available, he will be walking in for sure. And he's been consistent as well. The thing is, like, when you're playing all the three formats, your other performances also kind of gets dragged on with the whole thing. So if your good performances are getting highlighted, your bad performances also are getting highlighted with that. So I think it's just a phase which cricketers go through. But as far as ODIs and tests are concerned, I think there is not even a debate.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, Michael, you look at a great player and you say, okay, can we look at certain formats? But at the end of the day, if it's about maybe just going through a bad patch, you will go through a bad patch across formats, won't you?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that injury can't have been much. He must have been close to playing 2 days ago. If he's back playing today, it's the right call bringing him back in if he's fit to go. I think this is the format that could get him back into that real high level of performance that we've seen from Virat over the years. It gives him a chance to just get in. It obviously gives him a chance to free his arms up and play some shots as well once he does get that platform set. You can't keep Virat Kohli quiet for too long. He's just too good a player. He's got too much ability, and it might just be the home of cricket. It might just be the surroundings of Lords. The packed house, the atmosphere. By the time he comes to bat later on at around 6 o'clock, it'll be buzzing. I'm sure a few of the crowd may have had a few liquid refreshments in the afternoon, so they might be lively by the time he goes out to bat, and I hope so. I hope we see a special innings from Virat Kohli. He's too good a player to continuously get low scores. I don't think he's had the rub of the green on this tour so far. I think he's had a few dismissals that have been slightly unfortunate. He's not far away. I don't think he's far away from a really good score, and it might just happen today.
Yeah, what about the England 11? We're going to talk a little bit about Lords and a little bit of nostalgia, because it seems to have brought out the best, not just of Team India, but generally the best of cricket when it comes to a big day, a big occasion. But England's 11, India have that one change. Shreyas Iyer out, Virat Kohli walks back in. England absolutely unchanged. And I think in our preview, this is what we referred to. What India did against South Africa, 2-0 down, didn't change their side. If you've gone with this in game one and you have faith in them, Michael, there's no reason to suddenly change it unless there's been an injury or a particular performance that you feel was below par. Yeah,
right call for me. And obviously they're not tied because the game didn't last that long 2 days ago. I like the batting combinations are fantastic. It is the bowling. I mean, I know England were bowled out cheaply just the other day, and it wasn't the bowling to blame. But I do look at England's bowling in white ball cricket and think, I just feel that most batting lineups around the world will have enough power and skill to be able to hit that kind of bowling attack. There doesn't seem, when there's no Jofra Archer, there's no Mark Wood, there's no Adil Rashid. They've not gone with Parkinson, the leg spinner at Lords. I thought they may have done that. It's an attack that I think you'd fancy hitting. Yes, it might swing early for the left armers, but after that, they don't have much variation or mystery. There's no express bowler. There's no 90-mile-an-hour bowler that can rush you. And there's no mystery spinner. So I think it's an attack that most batting lineups around the world will kind of look at and go, yeah, if you get in, you can really get them.
Yeah, Zaheer, I think we briefly touched upon it in the previous game. We asked the question about Jofra Archer. And I think if you look at a strike bowler, an out-and-out wicket taker, someone who can lead the attack, and of course we remember him from 2 years ago, I think that is where England may be missing out through no fault of their own. If Jofra Archer, Mark Wood, those are the kind of bowlers not yet fit to be in the 11.
Yes, but in cricket, GB, more often than not, you see and about momentum, or you talk about team being on top, or the team doubting themselves. So when you look at this English team, you will see that on paper, their clear strength is batting. They have enough power in that. They're batting first. So if you're batting first and if you put enough runs on board, then you're always having that upper hand. And the bowlers are also charged up that way. The conditions, so you can get the job done. the stack up of this England is, yes, when Jofra will come and Mark Wood will come, Adil Rashid will come, all those guys will strengthen this team further with regard to bowling. But at the moment, they'll have to find a way. And I think from England's point of view, if the wicket is going to be playing well and the conditions, overhead conditions support that, they get through that first hour and they put runs on board, the same bowling attack will look different. So that's how the game is going to go. So the onus is on England batters to make sure that they get above par score on this track and then give their bowlers that much extra cushion to defend the total.
Just one more to Michael to finish on this particular topic. On the assumption that a Mark Wood and a Jofra Archer still have no fixed return date, can England even start looking to one of their red ball specialists to come in there, or are there any other bowlers around the park that we don't know about yet?
Well, you saw Potts in the Test series, and he's had a good mention. I haven't seen him in white ball cricket, but he's skillful. He's a great athlete. I don't see him as that difference bowler. I don't see him, being that 90 miles an hour bowler. So I don't know how much he would bring over some of the bowlers that we've seen already. They've got to get, obviously, Adil Rashid comes back in, so I think he offers and gives you so much more with the ball. You can't really replace Jofra Archer and Mark Wood. They're two bowlers that, Mark Wood's the skiddy, 90 miles an hour difference bowler, and Jofra Archer's got everything. He comes from a height, bowls quickly, he's got great variation, slow balls at the end. Someone like Chris Jordan, you're looking at Chris Jordan, maybe can be given a run in the side, but there's not a great deal out there, GB. There's just what you've got is very traditional English style seam bowlers that have got good kind of variations, but it's just the X factor. You look at most other teams. Australia have got Mitchell, Stark, Cummins. Zampa's very good in one-day cricket. You're looking at the Indian side of Bumrah, Shami, Chahal. They've got lots of great variations. At the minute, England don't have those variations, so it makes life that a little bit more difficult. That means the batting has to probably get to par score at least, or maybe a little bit over par to give those bowlers that I mentioned just a little bit more protection.
Yeah, you can even think of the likes of Trent Bolt, Shine Shah, Freedy, various bowlers around the world who have made an impact in white ball cricket. But did give a hint of one of the things we'd be talking about today. If it comes to the 13th and the 14th of July and you're at Lord's and you cast your mind back a few years, not 2 years, not 3 years for the moment, we'll go even further back, Zaheer, 2002. I think that's one of, many turning points for Indian cricket we think of, but this was definitely one of them. England batting first, hundreds for Hussain, hundreds for Triscothick, 325 on the board. Many people left Lord's that day. For those who would have been on the field, like yourself, you may not have realized that, but I was between the stands upstairs, the boxes, the commentary box, and downstairs, and I was looking at a lot of people leaving. I said, listen, the match is not over yet. 325. It was a different era, wasn't it, Zaheer?
And a lot of them actually come back. So they came back to the ground knowing that, okay, there is a partnership building and there is a chance. So you saw the stands getting empty and then the stands were filled as well. And a lot of the guys missed watching that game live. Maybe, in some pub on streets, they're watching the game and then celebrating. But yeah, those days, early days for me in the international cricket. Was a good series playing under English conditions. There's lot of help for swing and seam. So really enjoyed that series. Got to the finals, and in those days it was like we were getting in the finals but not able to close it. And after we finished bowling 325, really expecting it to be easy. Losing 5 wickets, we did get a good start. So Saurav and Viru gave us a great start in that match. But after that, just kind of series of wickets and things were looking very, very bleak for us to win that game. But KF and Yuvraj got us home, played some special innings, and I remember scoring those last runs. So with a funny stance and a funny back left, I managed to secure my wicket against Freddie Flintoff. Bowling those Yorkers, I was like, only Yorkers can get me out. So I literally was holding my bat, not lifting it from the ground and making sure that I just make the contact with the ball and run to the other end.
But tell me, Zaheer, before I go to Michael, everyone, of course, remembers Sourav Ganguly shirtless, but there were also celebrations on the field. Were you part of the celebration where you nearly crushed under the weight of several people? We'll come back to Zaheer on that. Michael, your I mean, it's not the greatest of memories, but still, it wasn't the worst start either for England.
No, I mean, I have not great memories in terms of the result, but great memories in terms of the game. It was a fantastic game. You talk about celebrations. I remember Nasser Hussain getting 100 and then pointing to the number 3 on his back to the media that had obviously been giving him a bit of stick about was he worth his place in the side. The celebration of Sourav Ganguly with his shirt off on the balcony, and that's been replayed hundreds of times that I've seen over the years. I was down on the cover point boundary or the mid-wicket boundary, whichever end was, or right hand, left hand was on strike. And all I remember is the ball just kept on travelling over my head. I kept on looking above. It's gone for another 6. Yuvraj with his, I think that was probably the first time that the world took note of Yuvraj Singh. Mohammad Kaif with that partnership. But it was the first time I think people went, oh, this Yuvraj Singh can play. He's a good player. I think it was Ronnie Irani. He got Sachin Tendulkar out, LBW, and Ronnie had a big celebration. It was almost like the day of the celebrations of all the different individuals, and then the Indian side at the end running on the pitch. Is Zach back now? Because I think he might have been at the bottom of that pile of Indian players celebrating.
I was going to ask Zaheer that we all remember Sourav when you just went off for a moment, Zaheer. But when that celebration happened on the field, I think you might have suffered a few injuries right down there.
Actually, I did, and I'm surprised that how Kaif survived that. So I had a little bit of a wrist issue after that because I was jumping with the bat in hand, and then someone came and just pushed the bat, so I just got a twisted wrist. But I think Kaif was almost on the ground when the other jumped on him, and he literally fell down. Was lucky not to get injured, but yeah, the excitement was clearly out there. And like I was saying, those days thinking that okay, you're going to chase down 325 was like a Hercules task, and you would think that it's never going to be possible. But today's modern day cricket now, 300 is like a walk in the park. But those days certainly wasn't the case. You had to really put up a good show to get there, and glad that we did. And also the Lords has its as a venue the special charm. So yeah, great historic day.
Yeah, I think there was one very bemused black cab driver outside the Grace Gates who was surprised to see Anjali Tendulkar asking for a ride back home halfway through the game because she just felt there were too many runs and maybe didn't want to watch her hubby bat. Not that it was one of his great days, but I suspect she did make her way back to the ground towards the end of the day, as did so many others, as Zaheer Khan mentioned. But Michael, we'll fast forward to 2019. Happier day, far happier day for England cricket. One of the great games once again. What a finish, what an occasion, and almost a vindication of a process that had started in 2015.
Yeah, and look at the numbers. I mean, it was a low-scoring contest, and it just had a bit of everything that day. 241 never seemed enough, and then they got early wickets, New Zealand. Then there was a really good partnership between Buttler and Stokes. Then Buttler got out, and then the rate started to go up again, and somehow Ben Stokes got it to a super over with some brilliant batting, a bit of fortune. Trent Boult dropping him on the boundary. Him diving in for that second run to keep him on strike, and the ball hitting the bat and going for a boundary. Everything seemed to go England's way. I've looked back on that day quite a lot, and everything just seemed to go England's way. It was almost like the 4 years of what they'd built towards that World Cup final. They'd done everything right up until that day. They almost were rewarded in the final for all the work they'd done over the 4 years. The atmosphere was incredible. It was the Wimbledon's final. It was the Grand Prix on that day. And I don't think anyone was mentioning the tennis or the Grand Prix. It just seemed to be all about that cricket final. A fantastic day. And it was great to see England lift the trophy. But New Zealand, they just seem to always get that little bit closer every single time. And I have to say, if Trent Boult had held that catch on the edge, New Zealand would have lifted that trophy.
Yeah, somebody needed to get Ian Smith some cough syrup once he was finished with his stint in the commentary box, but there was so much to talk about. Curiously, Michael, there were a lot of people watching. I mean, I was sitting in the grandstand. There were a lot of people actually watching the Wimbledon final. And I know one person who made the trip halfway through at about 4 o'clock to SW19, watched half an hour of the Wimbledon final, came back for the last moments of this one. So had the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just, I just know from the commentary box that usually when the Wimbledon final's on, you have the tennis on, and obviously you're watching the cricket. There was no one watching the tennis. No one had the tennis on. Everyone was gripped. I remember my last stint actually lasted some like an hour and 45 minutes because I went on the radio to call the end of the game, and then obviously it went on forever. And then there was the Super Over that went on forever. And then we had to go around the ground, obviously, to interview all the players and be out there. I think it might have been longer. I think we're on air, me and Jonathan Agnew, for around 2 hours, 10 minutes for our last stint. It was the best seat in the house. It was a fantastic few hours.
Yeah. So did you send the folks to BBC a bill?
No, day rate. That's all you get.
All righty then. But let's get all of you in there. We've been asking so many questions related, not necessarily always to the past, sometimes to the present. Let's get in our hashtag Ask Cricbuzz live question for today. And this is what it is. And it comes from Harikrish Ravichandran. And he says, in the lead up to the 2019 World Cup, where he does go back in time, England had 4 years of prep under a new regime. Given Butler and Mott's regime had just gotten underway, will that be a deterrent to England's chances in the upcoming T20 and 50 over World Cups? I'll come to Michael in a moment, but let me throw this to Zaheer as well, from a neutral perspective.
That's an interesting one, actually. That's a very good question, I would say. Very well thought through. Not going to be easy because you have to get things going fast, and if you have some hiccups in the beginning, like how you've seen with Joss right now taking up the captaincy and finding it tough to beat challenging opposition. India, right up there, but they've lost the T20 series. So these kind of series does put a dent in your confidence. So that is something which we have to wait and see. The new coach also needs some adjusting to the new setup, understanding each and every individuals and their characteristics. How to bring the best out of them. At times you can feel short on time. But not necessarily that gives you any guarantee for success or failure, but given that if you have more time, those kind of risks you can negate. You have time to come back, recover, or maybe change the course if need be. Here you can just go in with a set things which have been done so far. So I think, from that point of view, there is not a lot of wiggle room to do changes. So they will be continuing with the process, but that doesn't mean that they're going to face success or failure. I think we just have to wait and see how the situation evolves.
It's always interesting, Michael, whether it's England or any other team when they go through a regime change. It could be an entire management change. It could be just coach and captain, just captain, but sometimes it's about saying, let's take the good from the past, but there's got to be some fresh injection come what may in terms of ideas.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, England needed 4 years to prepare for the 2019 World Cup because they were so far behind, and Owen Morgan and Trevor Bayliss brought this new identity to the side. I'm not too sure whether they need that much new identity. I think what Josh Butler and Matthew Mott have got is a fantastic group of players, a group of white ball experts that are right at the top of the tree. You need bowlers. That's the one. You can be as good a captain as you want. If you don't have, a bit of wow factor in your bowling attack in white ball cricket, would England have won the World Cup in 2019 without Jofra Archer? Possibly not. And Jofra Archer was kind of rushed through the process to make sure that he qualified for England for that World Cup. Josh Butler doesn't have Jofra Archer at the minute, so it's not going to be as easy for Josh. Without the likes of Adil Rashid and Jofra Archer. If you have Jofra Archer and Adil Rashid in this team, I think it really does get close to winning major tournaments. Without the real expertise in the bowling attack, it's going to be very, very difficult. The batting, as I said before, would have to play to a standard that they can, and it's got to get beyond that par score. But I think if you said to any captain and coach, this is the white ball group of players that you can captain and coach, I think you grab the captaincy and the coach, because they do have a lot of expertise and they have a lot of quality. But I will say it's just one or two bowlers that they're missing at the minute.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just a follow-up question before we are quickly underway. You said earlier that you don't feel they need the aggressive approach. They need to watch out for early swing. So just since we've talked about a bit of nostalgia, we've talked about that road from 15 to 19. Let's come 3 years forward to 2022, today at Lord's. What will England's mindset be overall in terms of how they fix what happened 2 days ago, but really looking ahead as well?
Well, I hope they're smart and see off the new balls. They'll probably just come out crashing it, trying to. That's pretty much what they try and do on any given day. But I think it comes at a very, very high risk at the minute. It's interesting because for many, many years, the Duke red ball has swung all over the place. This year, Duke red ball has hardly moved. And the white ball for many, many years has done nothing. And the white ball this year has actually moved. So I've no idea what's happening with the balls in the UK. But, you've got to be smart. You've got to earn the right to play real aggressive cricket. And it might be that for the first 6 overs, my kind of message would be just make sure you give yourself a chance. Just give yourself a chance against Bumrah and Shami. They're high class. Get to the 6th or 7th over. And by the way, if you're still there and the score's 20, no problem. Then you can really flourish and start to play the aggressive shots.
Yeah, we'll talk about a bit of a score prediction in a moment. We're going to have the joy factor question. I remember Bhuvneshwar Kumar saying the other day that I'm always, since I'm not part of the red ball format, I was expecting nothing to happen with the white ball. I'm not complaining that it is. But joy factor question, there's no mystery in that, or there is mystery in that, actually, plenty of it. And he's taken us back to the Under-19 World Cup, in which Josh Hazlewood was Australia's top wicket taker, and Jason Holder took the most wickets for the West Indies, who was India's top wicket taker. Now, if it's Joy Bhattacharya asking such a question, I just have a feeling it may not be as straightforward as it looks. Think about it. Hazlewood, Holder, figure out which vintage, and then get India worked into the mix over there. Now, the big one. We were way off the mark. Not just you, Michael. I know I picked on you in the last game. All three of us were well over 150 runs off the mark. So are we going to get a little conservative and get into the 250 type range, or are we still sticking to big scores?
I'm going to go 290. I think it'll be. I think it'll be a good score, 290.
Zaheer?
I think 280. I was thinking of 290, but since Michael has taken it now, I'll go with 280.
Well, I don't know if they can just change something so quickly in a couple of days' time. So I'm just going to go not too low. I'm not going to say 110 again, but yeah, something in the region of improving. I'm going to go with the exact score from 2019 at the World Cup final, 241. 241. That was a magic number on that day. It was a magical game, and I'm going to say it's going to be bang on there or thereabouts. Let's see if we can have some fun with that. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Zaheer. We'll see all of you in the 15th over on Cricbuzz Combox. Until then, from yet another fascinating chat, building up to what should be a fascinating game, that's all on Cricbuzz Live.